we say we won't change, but we still doing the same things. We still listen to the same things. We still watching the same things. We glorifying it. And then when you get home and something happened, we want to cry about it.
This episode of Point of View Uncensored is sponsored by Juicy Details, here located on the southeast side of Atlanta. Welcome to Point of View Uncensored, Dr. Renaissance.
I'm Dr. J.
And your favorite brother, DJ.
It's your boy, Tonio.
And this is Eldridge checking in.
Yes. So those are our guests we have today. And we also have another gentleman on the line, Young Turks, media personality.
What's poppin'? It's Jackson White. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you for being off with us today.
Sure.
So first thing I want to talk about is, of course, one of my classmates, she posted a video on YouTube, and I'll give you a bit of overview on it so you give you a bit of context. So pretty much 5 years ago, she was abused by another one of my classmates. And now she's kind of sharing it 5 years later, saying that she kind of went through it. You know, it was a terrible experience for her. And I thought it was just kind of something to share because she kind of said that a lot of people don't really talk about domestic violence. And I want to use the opportunity to kind of just, reference her video and then talk about, domestic violences and what caused that to happen and how do people end up being in those situations.
One, I do want to say this to the sister. I didn't get a chance to watch the full. It's a 25-minute video, so hopefully we put the video on the show link so people can reference and see her story. But I have 4 sisters, and I am a mama's boy. So I grew up around all women my entire life. I've seen sisters date guys. I have had sisters be in abusive situations, and it's a tough situation, especially if you're coming from the point of view as a protector of somebody that loves your sisters. And at that point, you got to tread the line between she grown, she get to do what she want to do, and I'm your brother, I got to protect you. And I don't know this sister's situation. Obviously, she's coming out 5 years later and telling the story, but obviously she felt like she didn't have somebody she could go to confide in. She didn't feel safe, and that's the unfortunate side. But the other side of domestic violence, why I feel like we don't talk about it enough, we don't talk about all of it. We don't talk about the domestic violence against men. And a lot of times we look at the domestic violence against men as a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, we done heard stories of men getting beat up by women, and we're like, well, you got your ass beat. You know what I'm saying? And it looked that funny. So I think the domestic violence situation, until we have a holistic conversation about all the victims it happened to, I don't think we're gonna get as much progress, as well as until we talk about what are the accountability that we have to take as the victim. I know we talk about victim shaming, but we also gotta talk about victim accountability. A lot of times there are signs and things that can let us know to get out of that situation, but we choose to go through it. So, unpopular opinion maybe, but just starting the conversation.
I agree with him on a lot of that. I feel like a lot of times when it comes to domestic abuse, domestic relationships, I feel like people try to, especially women, I see it all the time, like they want to love people through their problems. Like they feel like their love is gonna change a person's actions. They want more for that person than that person want for themselves. Like I grew up in that household. I grew up with an abusive, you know what I'm saying, abusive pops, all of that. So I seen it time and time again. And I used to ask my mama, like, why? Like, why do you keep, you know what I'm saying? And she knew he wasn't gonna change, but it was just because she just loved him so much. And she like, well, he's so smart. He this, he that, da-da-da-da. She always try to find something to be like, he has potential. Till they got to the point where she kind of had to damn near run away. You know what I'm saying? Like, skip states. Because she knew, like, it's no telling what's gonna happen next. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with him on that. I got plentiful sisters. I got a lot of siblings. So, and I had a sister. She went through the same thing. She had an abusive boyfriend and all of that. And it was actually a thing where me, one of my brothers, one of my partners, beat him pretty bad. Yeah. But she ended up going right back to him. That happened to me. Like, next time I seen her a couple weeks later, him in a cast, face messed up and everything, she's helping him heal after a situation that just happened. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's tough. And even touching on the abuse part as far as the men and all of that, even that is like he said, I just don't see no progress coming about until everything is able to be touched on from every aspect. So yeah, that's my take on that.
You know, the victim doesn't choose to go back. It's this like compulsion, you could call it. You know, this urge, this need to fulfill something that they need to fulfill for themselves, and they're trying to get it from somebody else. And so, you know, it almost, I guess you could, you know, liken it to almost like an addiction. You know, you're addicted to this relationship, even though it's causing you harm, just like addictions cause people harm. So I just want to kind of be careful of using this word choice, you know, just because, you know, she chooses to go back. You know, I don't think that's an accurate way to talk about it. I think we have to see it more in terms of the person's context, their history, their upbringing, you know, all these different factors we have to take into account.
Well, I wanted to echo what the previous brother said. You know, people who find themselves in these types of situations, especially if they're habitual, if they find themselves in abusive relationships over and over again, people who are emotionally and psychologically healthy, this does not happen to them. These people typically come from abusive households themselves, and it's what they've learned as a representation of relationships. And given the fact that we're emotional creatures,